That's why I said I know he'd get you. Oh, he pointing.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Know Your Purpose. I am here tonight. I am Dr. Stacey Venable, and I have the greatest therapist here on the platform. Besides my therapist, I got to give some shout out to him.
The greatest.
Because Tyler is great, but we have to give greatest when greatest is due. So tonight we have our friend Clifton Bright Jr. Because I'm telling you, I mess up his name all the time. Saquon gets on me all the time about messing up your name. I just want you to know that. And I just rehearsed it just a second ago.
Exactly.
See, I'm just telling you, so many things go through my mind. It's ridiculous.
Well, we do autopilot.
We do. You already know. You work with me all the time in the building. Now you know I'm always on autopilot. So
everybody is. We operate more out of our subconscious.
I stay on autopilot. So before we get into what we want to talk to you tonight about, we just want to do some housekeeping rules, some disclosures. These are our views alone, our opinions. This is where we're coming from. This is our platform. You may not like this platform, so if you don't like it, go ahead and tune off. If you do like it, get your popcorn, get your notepad, get your pen, because he is going to drop some fantastic nuggets tonight. And tonight, we're going to be talking about mental health and the walk into fatherhood, because it is Father's Day weekend.
It is.
And happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day to you and to all the fathers out there. I wanted to bring this edition just as a gift to you. Look, I'm gifting. I am gifting. This is my give back to all the fathers. If I have not said Happy Father's Day to you, here is your salutation and here is your gift. Tonight, we're going to walk into that mental health piece.
That's it.
And how hard it is.
It is. It is hard. And it's what I do for not just a living, but I do it for a calling.
Yes.
Yeah, I do it for a calling. And the biggest thing with fathers, most of the time, we don't check in on our mental health. We just do.
That's just not only for fathers. That's men in general, too.
Yeah, we just do.
Yeah.
We do. We wear trauma as a badge. We wear as a badge of honor. We wear being able to take stuff as a badge of honor. And also not asking anybody for help.
Oh, my
We
goodness.
wear these things.
We talk about that all the time. Yeah. Me and my kings, my three kings, and we talk about that all the time, not being that grounded and that humble to where you can ask someone for something. That I think that came from stereotyping from way back when.
Oh, it does. Toxic masculinity and real toxic masculinity.
It is. Oh my goodness. And I've talked to two younger men this week as I was business training them. I was telling them, like, what's the deal? Like, why won't you ask for help? And he was like, no, this is not something we do. We don't ask for help. I said, so you rather stay down in the valley and suffer instead of go and ask that person for some help? And they said, yeah, they'd rather remain there.
Die on that sword.
That's ridiculous.
Then ask for help.
I'm just being transparent right now.
Yeah, die on that sword, because for many of us, that's what your show is Know Your Purpose.
Know Your Purpose. That's created with one.
Yep.
We all were.
Yeah, but that's what we've been taught is the purpose of manhood. That you always show up. You just work. You just work. You don't show any pain. You don't let anybody know you're suffering, because all those things are weakness. So even going to therapy, like, I get excited getting phone calls from men. Okay. I get excited because knowing that they're willing to take that step and be vulnerable, when for most of us, we've been taught not to show up that way. Yeah. That's outside of who we are. That's outside of our purpose. But the key thing is our purpose, most of all. I always talk about this when I talk about fatherhood. There's a line in Black Panther, and there's so many lines in that movie. But the one that stuck out to me the most was when you said, I know you said
I have seen it. I have seen it.
I'd be embarrassed if somebody said, "Oh, you see that?"
Yeah, you like picking on me all the time, but I do take time. I do take time to watch movies and stuff like that.
There is a part where T'Challa wins the ceremonial battle, and he's really knows he's anointed to be king, and they give him the heart-shaped herb, and they let him go to, I forget what the forest is called, but it's where the souls of the past kings stay.
Okay.
And in that realm, the souls of the past kings, they're shaped as panthers. So his dad, the one panther jumps off the tree. It's his dad, and he transforms and he starts talking to him and walking with him. And he says, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not ready for you to be gone yet. And his father said, a father who has not prepared his children for his own death has failed as a
Okay,
father.
that's deep.
Yeah, he said, a father who has not prepared his children for his own death,
That's
he's
deep.
failed as a father. So our purpose is to model how to do life, you know? So if we're modeling that you're this robot that never feels, that's always tough, that is never affected by anything,
Sure,
that never asks for help, that never says I'm struggling, never says I'm tired, never says I'm hurt, you know what I mean? Only shows up as I'm angry,
wow,
you know, then I'm modeling that.
sure.
You know, for my sons, I'm modeling that's how you do manhood. For my daughters, I'm modeling that's the type of man you should look for.
That's toxic and that's dangerous.
That's the type of man you should look for. Yet, when we get in relationships, you guys want us to be able to articulate what's going on inside.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know? And 9 times out of 10, we don't get that.
Yeah, because most of us aren't shaped for that.
I was going to say built.
Yeah,
I like your word shape, so I'm going to use that.
For that.
One of the things I read this week that I literally went into study, all those things that you said in within molding the man, a lot of men come out to be narcissistic because of that.
Yeah, well,
because of the molding that they got. Might have not been just from the father, but from the mother as well. And then and most of the time, you know, the abandonment and all that good stuff, and they go and they trigger bomb all this onto someone else.
Yeah.
And the modeling is just it's not just generational. It's in mentorship. It's for people that you don't know, people that you do know. So that molding of a shape, it's important to me because I know raising my sons, a lot of the times through their older life, it was just me and them. Right. And I had to model, but I modeled what I was supposed to model, what a woman is supposed to model.
Right.
But one of the things with me not having a father in my life, so that made it 10 times harder. So I would look for people, good role models that I could entwine them with.
Right.
But if you don't have that avenue, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard. But one of the things that my son always told me, Saquon always, he and I talk about it all the time, is that I allowed him to develop himself. And then I baby stepped him into where he was supposed to be. But still at a time in his life, I want women to understand you could be the greatest mother ever. But I still can't do the job of a man. I carried them for 8 months. I never, all 3 of my boys, I didn't carry them for 9 months. I carried them for 8 months.
9 months?
No, 8. And they all were 10 plus pounds. Okay. They all came out, they're healthy, all that good stuff. So I felt as a woman, I did my job. But your job is never done, whether woman or man. But I feel like, you know, and this being transparent here to all my viewers, I feel like I had neglected them on the part right here, this manhood part, and each one of them has showed the sign of being in some form of fashion of being neglected in that.
Right.
So what kind of things can you tell the mothers like that are going through this too? I know it's Father's Day, but we have some women out there that are still walking in the same two.
Yeah, mothers that are going to celebrate Father's Day on Sunday because that's the dual role they've taken. They've had to be the father. So what I would say is I think us men who are walking in our purpose, it would help if we expand ourselves to reach somebody else. So when I think about a father is not just the person who you've gotten your DNA from.
Absolutely.
The one that connected with your mother and your mother carried you and gave birth. That's not the only father you can have. You know, oftentimes we talk about pastors being like fathers and ministers being like fathers.
Sure.
Because they take on this role where they nurture me. They nurture me, they guide me, they model for me. So you can have a father that's not your biological father. You can have somebody step into that place that kind of guides you and shows you how to walk into your manhood. So, you know, we have to celebrate those fathers as well because there are a lot of non-biological fathers
that are out here doing the job,
doing the
job. And you already know just the role as a parent. Just being a parent is hard work, but just imagine stepping into a secondary role as being that father. My son was blessed to have that secondary role. to have a man in his life, but it was a secondary. But we never referred to him as that because he probably would be angry right now if he even thought about it. He's like, I'm dad. No, let's not do that. But my concern is what we're putting out to the world now, because I'm starting to see destruction all around me.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of we don't need fathers. You know what I mean? And for me, and this is not even from a clinical standpoint, and also from a non-clinical standpoint, fatherhood, there's no expiration date on that.
There is none. There is none.
I call my father now when I'm dealing with situations, and he expects that. He's like, "Look, hey man, I'm here. You know, I'm not coming off this job. I'll come off the job when I'm not breathing anymore."
Absolutely. And I tell my kids that all the time. Yeah. As their mother, I'm going to be your mother until the day I die. And I'm one of them parents. I'll tell you, I'm going beyond that because no one's ever came back and said they've never gone beyond that. Right. But I'm going to always be that. Yeah. And there's no breaking that either.
He'll always be my father.
Absolutely.
And he'll always be present because of what he's put in me. You know, what you put in them, it expands. And either way, you are fathering whether you're present or not.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because I really liked it. I like what you just said, but then I kind of thought back, like, you know, your parent, you're fathering whether you're there or not, because those absentee fathers just don't understand that they're still fathering, but the difference is how they're perceiving it, how the children are perceiving it.
That's it.
They're so lost, they're so abandoned, they're so alone. Just one of the young people just told me that's how they felt.
Yeah.
You know, when they would go to play their basketball game and they would see other people's fathers, she said she would make believe that her father was in the stands. And then he was cheering her on. He was never cheering on because he's never been there. Right. But that's already setting a false persona in her mind. So she's going to go out and look for false personas in other men.
Right. You're looking for that void to be filled. And you might not even know what that deficit is, but you're going to look for it. And let's be clear too, just because there's a difference between present and being in the house.
Absolutely.
So you could be in the house and not
still
be present.
Not be present.
Yeah. Present means I'm connected.
That's right.
That means we are exchanging.
Exactly.
I'm planning and sowing into you. So I could come home, sit on the couch, because even what fatherhood looks like, it's so subjective.
Yes, it is.
Some people are like, oh, I'm a good father because I go to work. I work 50 hours a week and I come home and I sit on the couch. I pay the bills.
You got clothes on your back, food on the table.
And I fathered. And what that really means is you handle your responsibilities.
Right.
But one thing you learn that is just because you're responsible doesn't mean you're loving.
There you go. And just because you're responsible doesn't mean that you win the Dad of the Year award.
No.
You know, because there's a lot of parents going through this right now where, okay, we're home, Dad's home, we're all safe because he's home. That's not, and they're furthest from the truth because they're not safe. They haven't been loved. They haven't been talked to. They haven't been molded. They haven't been shaped.
Right.
And then they take that out in the real world. And then that's why we all mismanage now.
Yeah.
One of the things I love that you talked about the other day was the emotional piece.
Emotion. Yep. That emotional loneliness. So what I was looking at, because there's 3 different types of loneliness. The emotional loneliness stood out to me because that is based on connection. It's not based on numbers. That means when you look at it, like if all your needs are met, right? You're like, I'm doing a great job. My kids are in this huge house. They don't want for anything. My kid drives a Mercedes. They got the best clothes on. They're jade up. You know, they got the Gucci belts, but could have this deficit where I can't talk to Dad about how I feel. Only if
there goes that disservice.
Yep. I can talk to Dad about sports. I can talk to Dad about being happy.
Yes.
I can talk to Dad about knocking somebody out at school. I can talk to Dad about I'm going to go holler at that girl. But can I talk to Dad about Dad? I feel lonely. I don't feel connected. I feel sad. I don't feel strong right now. I feel weak. I feel confused. Can I talk about all these things? And you hit it when you talked about the cycles.
The cycle.
Because it's not like, I truly believe 99% of fathers want to occupy that space.
They just don't know how.
Yeah, nobody taught them.
Well, that's true. That's true, because you talked about that early on, where we were conditioned in such a lifestyle where none of that was even talked about.
Right.
The men were conditioned in a lifestyle where you put food on the table, you go to work, you work so many hours, you come home, you give mama what she's supposed to have to feed the household, and you're gonna go sit down in the chair. You got your little bourbon, you got your little music, just to stay over there. Bedtime, that's mama's role.
Yep.
That's one of the things that I literally was thinking about a couple of days ago. What mama's role was. Mama's role was to take care of that house. Daddy's role was to always be out doing what daddy had to do to work to bring to bring funding into the house. But I'm telling you, every which way, even in my genre, there was no daddy love. Whether I had a daddy in my house or the next door neighbor had a daddy in her house, that's one thing that we could connect with. That, okay, one of my friends said, yeah, my dad was always home, but I never got a chance to talk to him. So you shouldn't be upset about that. You shouldn't be upset about not having a father because he was there. But how many of them are there and they've already checked out? Because it's mama's role to get the kids together. It's mama's role to hug the kids. It's mama's role to feed them, clothe them, and put them to bed. A lot of times, by the time daddy gets home, them kids is already put to bed.
Right.
So what have you done? What are you? And that's another thing. What are they setting in their children by doing this?
Well, you're setting that same cycle that I'm going to do what got performed in front of me. But you may connect with somebody where that doesn't work.
Right.
Because if you think about it, none of us come from the exact same upbringing.
Absolutely.
All of us at some level have different experiences. You can have 5 children in the house, and as they grow up, they will give you 5 different perspectives of how that house was.
Let's talk about
One
that.
will be like, oh,
it was
man, I loved
here.
it. I had the greatest child. And you can have the third child that says, my parents were terrible. My upbringing was horrific.
Yeah.
I hear these other 4 talking about how great it was, but it was terrible for me because it is so subjective. We have this view of our world.
Sure.
And a lot of that is shaped by fatherhood. And I love being a father. I count it as a privilege.
And we need more men to count it as a privilege, but we also need a lot of young women need to make sure when they're choosing the avenue that they want to take to be a 2-parent household, as far as find a man that they love, but make sure you take that time to know who he is.
Right.
Because a lot of women are just out here and you know what? I had a kid by this person and then it didn't work out. But then you wonder why the molding and the shaping and all that, because we made bad choices. So that's one of the good things that when I take the platforms of doing this 12-city tour, and now I'm able to talk to a lot of young women, I tell them, as you mold yourself, make sure you're molding what aspects you're going to give to another man, because once you create a child and you guys are now together and bonded for the rest of your life, and if he was lazy and on the couch when you were dating him, he gonna be lazy on the couch as a father.
Yeah, because people really don't change.
No.
Well, you can't make somebody change.
Absolutely
That's the thing.
not.
A lot of us are like,
absolutely not.
We make these conditions. I'm doing this while we're dating, but are you going to stop when we get married? Yeah, I'm going to stop. And the truth is, no, you're not.
Well, Steve Harvey said it the best. In 90 days, you'll know.
Yeah.
In 90 days, you'll know. My son, my youngest son always says, I hate dating. And I said, why? He said, because that honeymoon phase, I would just rather skip over it. I would rather just skip over it and get to what we need to know. So the point that I'm trying to pull out of this is, if you are seeing the dynamics of the red flags when you're dating, those red flags are going to become permanent once you have this child. So if he was disappearing on you, he's going to disappear on that child.
Right.
9 times out of 10, he's going to disappear. So those flags are for the mental health to take note of. And if you're just sitting there not taking any note of it, I mean, now that I'm older, I saw all kinds of red flags.
Right. And I mean, let's be real. There is no perfect relationship.
No.
So as you examine things, and research even shows when you talk about relationship research, around like every 5 years, you change as a person. And so what what I needed 5 years ago doesn't fit now. So we have to grow together and adapt. So think about it. For fathers, what you got exposed to plays so much of a part of, I'll say, how you start. Because you very well could see that this doesn't work and start accessing spaces where I can develop.
Right. Okay.
But of course, you have to fight that whole thing of if you've been told that you have to be a man's man and stand on your own.
Those 10 toes down
and
thing.
a man's man.
Oh my goodness.
A man's man don't tell another man I need this or I need help here, because now you're gonna question my masculinity and my manhood.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, I'd rather die on that sword and tell you, hey, bro, I like what I watch you do over here. How do you go about that? Give me some tips. Like I love connecting with men. Like we talked about, that men's group I do every other Wednesday. The reason I love that group so much is I love the transparency, but I also love the different walks of life that the men in that group come from, because we feed one another. We grow from one another.
Right.
And I'm of the mindset I'm always a student. I can learn from a person. Even when I do therapy, I tell clients, I learn from you while you're here doing the work and healing. There's never a time where it's just I know everything and you're just here.
Yeah.
No, that exchange causes me to grow.
It does. And you know what? I literally pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Not only are we good friends, but we work in the same building, we colleague a lot, and we go back and forth. And I saw the need. And I know I got on your nerves. I know I got on your nerves. When I tell you he is a tall brother, he's a tall brother. I'm only 5'4", and I know you a lot taller than me.
I'm 6'5".
6'5". Oh, a lot taller than me, friends. But when I used to see him, I would be on his heels. Like he threw out a nugget to me. I'm gonna start this men's meeting. I said, well, when you gonna get it started? Oh, I'm gonna get it started, Doc. Don't worry about it. I said, because I saw such a need for it. But how can we try to draw more people in? Because there's so many men that are out there that are broken, and then it comes down to a point sometimes where they're about to lose it all. They're about to lose it all, and then now they're knocking at that doorstep. What are there some things that we can do to not only just as wives, as girlfriends, but as people in the community to encourage them to get that help? Because a lot of us Black folk don't think we need help.
Well, we've been told we don't.
But that's something that but listen, I just want to make this real clear. That's something I'll be 48 years old in just a couple of weeks. I knew at 21 I had my own mindset. So if you keep blaming it on that's what we were told years ago, then the problem starts with you. Okay? Because someone just said that to me. Well, I was conditioned early on, not to, men don't cry and this, that, and the third. But once you turn 21 and you become your own man and you go through your own struggles, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But when is enough enough?
Sometimes, unfortunately, it's never
enough.
Enough.
It's just sad.
Like I said, some people stay there.
Sad.
We don't even understand why some people grab certain things and other people don't.
Right.
When everybody has, I'm not going to say the opportunity, because
not everybody
gets that opportunity. But some people get exposed to the very same things. One person takes advantage of those opportunities and propels themselves to where they want to go, where another person may say, I can't get there. Because it really is about you.
It is. Everything you do at a certain point of your life, like I feel like, when I'm talking to certain people and things like that, and they always go back to, well, my mom did this, and this is the reason why. I get a little turned off in that, because at some point of your life, you have to make your choice for you.
You do, but it is extremely hard. So I talk about attachment all the time and attachment styles. So secure attachments, where you're able to maintain relationships. And in your relationships, you can have independence where you don't lose yourself. And I'm talking about friendships, romantic relationships, family relationships, work relationships, just relationships in general. You're able to have this independence. You're able to still be you, but you're also comfortable having a level of interdependence where I can trust this person. I can know that they're going to do this. And I don't try to do everything because I'm like, people can't be trusted. You get those things early on. You get insecure and anxious attachments.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Because you don't get that level of trust established. So if you think about it, when you have so many homes that are like one parent homes, that parent is doing all that they can. They can't hit everything. So somewhere that kid might not get a chance to have security.
Right.
That's why you have to have those other outlets, those other people you connect with. Like I said, those almost like surrogate fathers.
I call them my only quality people.
Yeah.
I talk about that all the time on my show. We talk about it a lot in the office about just having my only quality people. But I see that even the walk down my memory lane and how I had to let some things go.
Yeah.
I literally and it just wasn't solely about family, but it was just about a little bit about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to let those things go in order to grow in any type thing. Because I felt, I've told you plenty of times, I felt like I was standing in stagnant water right up to my chest bone, like, hey, I'm about to drown over here. Mm-hmm. But until I started saying to myself, okay, this is what I was taught, but this is what I know.
Right.
This is what I was taught. Mm-hmm. This is what I know. And this is what I know to have worked for me. So you have to find that avenue of what works for you. But when you're just standing in that stagnant water and you just pedaling, to try to catch that breath, and you wrong. I have a lot of issue with that. When you need that help, there's outlets for that, but you still continue to make those excuses. But then you go along with everyday life, right? But when you go along with everyday life, you just don't know you're still impacting something. You're still on your job cutting up. You still at home cutting a mess. You still out in these streets cutting a mess. And you're over here like, yeah, I'm dabbing people up. So and so like me. When really when you walk away, they don't like you at all.
No. Well, we wear so many masks. So
let's talk about your book.
Yeah,
talk about your book.
We wear so many masks.
I loved the book. I read it. I read it in one night. Because
So you did 21 days.
I did 21 days in one because what it was, and I'm gonna tell you. When I got to like the third day, I was like, I wonder what happened on the fourth day. Oh, wait a minute, did that what? I want to see what your book was phenomenal.
I appreciate
it. And I enjoyed it, but it helped me go back and reevaluate some things with my kings and with myself. And I literally talked about you maybe a couple of episodes back, because I'm actually in season 2 now. Okay. So I literally talked about that. I had a young lady on, and I talked about the mask that I wore. Mm-hmm. And how when COVID came along, it was just easy. It made it easier for me because I could literally hide behind that mask. But when I read that book, I did something maybe different than other people did. I took my mask off, and I just decided that next day, because I read your book in overnight, of course, because I don't sleep that much. But we're working on that though.
Yeah.
That next day, I got up and I looked in the mirror and I said, no more mask.
Yeah.
No more mask.
And that's what it is. So many people are wearing. See, you might have a mask on that tells you this is your identity and purpose as a father. That it's really not your identity and purpose as a father. But it's the one that may have been given to you. Mm-hmm. So the biggest impact we can have is we can continue to model. Mm-hmm. Like I love shows that have positive father and role models on it. You know what I mean? Because representation is huge.
It is.
Yeah. So people need to see us. Like even when I do therapy, I don't look like your standard therapist.
No.
I'm connected with some other Black male therapists who don't look like. When you picture therapists, you're like, that ain't what I pictured.
That's not what I pictured.
So you need to see that. So when I'm telling a man, I cry when I'm hurting sometimes.
They're like, man, this guy's man, you're too big.
This dude.
I remember one day I was sitting in your office and you were telling me something similar to that. I'm like, I don't know. This man is huge. Like he literally cries, like things, like he has that emotion.
Yeah. I used to not talk about that, and I used to not tap into that. Mm-hmm. But so many of us are crying, but our cries look like shooting everybody. Our cries look like beating on people.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, our cries look like getting high and getting drunk. Our cries look like jumping from relationship to relationship. Mm-hmm. Our cries, those are our cries. Mm-hmm. But very early on, so many of us has been stripped from the ability to cry.
Yes.
So imagine if your father, because I know a lot of men that tell me, I got told early, men don't cry.
Well, listen, so, I've heard men say that to my sons, and I've literally stepped in every time. Do not tell my kids not to cry. Do not. Yeah. Because crying is an emotion that has been brought on through the body, and if God allowed you to cry, then cry.
Yeah. And stress hormones are actually in your tears. Yes. But think about it. If the narrative is men don't cry, you're like, well, I want to be a man, so I'm not gonna cry. So the very men that speak that narrative, they're really speaking from the narrative that was placed in them.
Yeah.
So we need representation where that dude will cry, but he'll knock you out too if he had to.
Oh yeah, that single tear thing.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
I talk to men about, especially fathers. I talk to fathers about your children need the lion and the lamb. What I mean by that is,
I love that.
Lion, king of the jungle, ferocious. You literally freeze from the sound of his roar.
Absolutely, I love that.
So, but also the lamb.
Where you can give a hug, you can get a cuddle, you can get a pat on the back. Job well done.
You feel safe. You don't feel in danger.
Absolutely.
We need to have that duality.
Absolutely.
So many of us don't have that duality. We haven't been told we can have that.
And you know what? That's the thing. I'm hoping that you're going to take that lion and lamb and write a book on it for that duality.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, they don't.
A lot of people don't know. They look for the king and the queen, but they don't look for the lion and the lamb.
Yeah.
And I think, what was that? A couple days ago?
That was about a week ago.
About a week ago. Yeah. I was literally driving. I was literally driving in my car, and I always get notifications, and I'm like, the lion and the lamb. Like what? Like, but I can literally see the man, because a lot of times on Instagram and Facebook and places, I've been seeing this half masculine tiger and then a lion, but I never pictured a lion and a lamb.
Yeah. And your kids need that,
because most of the time you're thinking if it's a that lamb ain't got no chance.
When that lamb is going to get ate up.
When it comes to that lion, it's going to get ate up. It's going to get devoured. But I had never. And let me tell you something. I'm so glad that in the Benz, I'm so glad it has those front sensors, because I was so engulfed and I heard the front sensors go off. I'm like, whoo, I forgot I am driving, because I literally was able to picture that. Yeah. I was able to picture that in a young child climbing up on their dad's lap with a book. Because a lot of times when they're young, you can give them more. But when they get older and they get to the point where they get a little rebellious and stuff like that, then there's no more lap space. Yeah. Then you want to turn on the real noise. But you can turn, even with my sons, I can turn on the real noise. But then at the end, I'm turning to that lamb where I'm saying, listen, I tell my sons all the time, if I don't know what you're going through, I can't help you. But I'm going to give it to you. You're going to get it. Oh, yeah, you're going to get it. Yeah. You already know. I got a 6-something giant, too. Yeah. You're going to get it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to love you through it.
Exactly.
We don't have enough of those love you through it men.
Well, because a lot of us haven't had that experience. We haven't been told that it's okay. We haven't been given permission. You know what I mean?
Now, should that permission start? Okay, say for instance, this is a for instance, right? So you're in a household and I'm the mom and there's a dad and the mom is saying, hey, with all her might, give him what he needs. Can that icebreaker start there, or do you think it's too far gone?
It can start. I'm the type of person, you may call me what do they call them? These they almost call you a fool. I'm one of those people that I never think a person can't grow and change. I don't care who they are. I used to get in arguments with professors in grad school when they would say antisocial personality disorder. The only thing you can do with them is put them in prison. I used to get in these arguments.
Not.
And I used to be like, I cannot accept that. And they'd be like, well, accept that either. And I would be told, I had one professor told me, it's because of your religious Christian beliefs. That's why you think like that. And I was like,
that's definitely not true.
I just do not think. I think as long as a person's breathing, they have the ability to grow. Does it get harder? Yeah, because the longer you do things, the more your brain is locked into that thing.
Absolutely.
So your neural pathways network takes you to this subconscious action and way of thinking. You don't even say, should I? You just flow right into it.
Go right into it.
But I believe a person can change. I just do. So I believe any man can grow in that role. They just need to be around. They need to be in the right soil.
Yes.
They need to be getting the right water.
They listen. I read a study a couple of weeks ago how good dirt is for everything. How good dirt is for the mind. How good dirt is for the soul. Because nothing really has grown unless it's been in dirt. And I thought about that thing. I don't like dirt. I'm not. Listen, I'm telling my people out there right now, I don't like dirt. I'm not a Martha Stewart type person. But a couple years ago, I decided there was a neighbor, and her flower bed looked really, really nice. Yeah. And I said to myself, I said, I want a flower bed like that. So I literally took it upon myself to try to go out and do this flower bed. When I bought hundreds and hundreds of dollars of these flowers, and then when I got home, I kind of got a little scared because of the dirt, because I ain't want no bugs and no worms or nothing like that.
Like, I don't do
but
dirt.
After the mission was accomplished, and I leaned back, and it was almost dark. And I leaned back, and I was so proud of myself because I saw what I accomplished in the dirt. It's okay to be in that valley, to be digging down in that dirt. And then last year, right as it got to be spring, I saw the flowers bloom up from that dirt. So I think it's okay. And I think if more men would understand that it's okay to grow from the situation that they're in, just to make sure that, and then you have to go, I tell my kings all the time, you have to go through things in order to grow.
Yeah, you're going to.
You're going to
go through.
But you have some men who suppress all that.
They do, but a lot of them are angry, or they become numb, or they do other things to get those needs met. Like, a lot of men that say, I don't have no needs. The only needs, like, especially you think about Father's Day, and me being totally transparent. You know what I used to tell my wife and my kids I wanted for Father's Day? Just give me a day of not asking me for nothing. You know what I mean? Give me just a free day. And I thought that was the noble thing. Yeah. Nah, I asked for stuff. I asked for stuff this year. Yeah, I would like this and this and this and this. And they were like,
oh, that wants something.
What this dude wants something? And they were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah. So it's like so many of us, it's that identity piece. Who you believe yourself to be.
Absolutely.
That tells you what you're gonna do. And so many of these fathers, and there's plenty of great fathers out here.
It's a mountain of them.
Yeah, and there is also this piece too that I want to say where I do some things well and some other things I may struggle with.
Absolutely.
So to just say this person is just black and white, you're a good father, you're a terrible father.
The black and white thing doesn't work for me.
Because we all got shades of gray.
Absolutely.
We really do. So it's about taking that courage to face those things where you're struggling at, and finding safe spaces. Men don't have enough safe spaces. The biggest thing, because I never really talk about what we talk about on those Wednesday nights, but the biggest thing I can talk about is I've not had a man come to that meeting and say they've had a space like that before.
Wow.
We don't have spaces.
And here at the Business Suites at Brass Mill, we try to provide a lot of people with a lot of things, and we're growing leaps and bounds. And I'm proud of the leaps and bounds. But one of the things that I can hold up high is I love the fact that your men's meeting is there, because I feel like I'm standing behind you, and no one can see me, but I'm behind you, pushing you like 100%. So if you're looking for an outlet, or you're looking, and you know what, the first thing we need to do is we need to take ownership that we need that help. And then we need to go out and we need to research and scout out those safe places. Well, here at the Business Suites at Brass Mill, we have you every other Wednesday. And we're going to leave his information. So that way, if you are struggling in any capacity, can I say that? In any capacity?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just, for men, it's just creating that space. And originally, my mindset was, I'm gonna keep it real, real small.
Yeah. So you tried to tell me that.
So it can be intimate.
I think what you first told me was like 10 or 12, or 20, 10 or 15 or something. Some number.
My first thought was going to be to do 5 to 10.
And I remember telling him, I don't think that's going to work. But I'm your cheerleader over here. But I don't think that's going to work. But the reason why I said any capacity, because you also have a counseling business that you run too. That
right.
We're happy that he's joining the Executive Suites of Brass Mill. He's coming from the small spot to the big spot, so that means you growing leaps and bounds. But the only reason I said about any capacity, because you do have other outlets besides just this Wednesday, every other Wednesday.
Yes, I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. If you want to be all title based.
Well, sometimes we need those titles so that way, because we have a lot of people that's going to be watching tonight, and if there's something that they're struggling with and they don't want to come to the men's group, I want to make sure that they know that there's other avenues that they can contact you with. Yeah.
So when you talk about like fatherhood and mental health, I'm a firm believer healed men lead to healed families.
Wow.
That lead to healed communities. that lead to healed nations. So just the more healed I am, the better I can show up for my wife. The more healed I am, the better I can show up for my kids. The more healed I am, the better I can show up for my community.
Absolutely.
Because if there's one thing we have lost, we talk about, because my father and I had just the greatest conversation the other day. Because I had heard somebody say, a therapist that I really respect out of Florida, she was doing a video and she said, the concept is so many of us tell our kids, I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend.
I have said that.
And I've said that to my kids. And my father said that to me. So I was telling my dad, I said, yeah, I was watching this video. And because I respect the person so much, I couldn't just blow it off. I respect what she puts out clinically. So I was like, I can't just blow off what she's saying. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I might want to hear that. And my dad says, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have told you we can't be friends when you were younger. Because he said, I said that because I didn't know how to balance that. So if I be your friend, are you going to take that as, oh, you just my boy. So if I tell you to do something, you're going to blow me off like, dad, get out of my face. You my man. You're my boy. We cool. He said, because I didn't know how to balance it.
Wow.
I played the whole, I ain't going to be your friend. We're not friends. We'll be friends when you got your own family. So it's like, sometimes your kids do need you to show up in that capacity.
I remember telling Saquon, he was running out of Magnolia Elementary School and he had a piece of paper and he was trying to show it to me. And I remember being in the front of the car. I told him, open the door. He got in and he says, Mommy. I said, yes. He said, look at my picture. And I told him, oh, I see your picture. That's a nice picture, son. He says, Mommy, you're my best friend. And I remember turning around. I'm not your friend. And I'm never going to be your friend. I'm your mommy, and still to the day, he talks about the trauma that I placed upon him doing that. And, it's still today, sometimes when he tells his friends, you could see like the smile turn into an upside down frown because he's like, even on his shows, you talk about, my mom is like the best thing. Like but I can't call her my best friend. But now he's 24 and I know the boundaries and I know what a real friendship looks like. I want to eat back those words, but now I have to stand on principle because I threw it out there.
Right.
But now, you know what? I just said the other day, I said, Saquon, you have been a better friend to me than sometimes that I've been to you. And he kind of looked at me, he's like, well, why are you being so nice? Like, what do you want me to do? I said, I don't want you to do anything, but that was my contributing to the fact of the matter that maybe we need to watch those sets of context as we put them out to our children, because now he's 24 and we walk in great friendship.
Now, what you will allow him to do is one day if he has a family, he won't tell his kids, we won't be friends.
Yes, I don't want him to ever.
Right. So to have my father say, I wish if I could go back, because that is not what I expected from him. When I told him about that, about that reel, I expected him to say, you're doggone right. They ain't your friends. Get some years under your belt, get a job, have some kids, get married. Then we can talk about friendship. But for him to say, yeah, I wish if I could go back, I would not have told you, yeah, me and you ain't friends.
That was another part of me taking my mask off, because I realized that, even within raising them, that I even had a mask on through raising them, because I didn't want them to know who I was.
Right.
Because I didn't want them to see the hurt. I didn't want them to see the pain. I just wanted them to see mommy in this light. But technically, and really, to be truthfully honest here, they were seeing the pain whether I had it on or off.
Right, because it shows up.
It does.
It shows up in these faces. So many of us are scared to show their scars. We're scared to show our kids our scars. Part of that purpose is to show this guy, Jason Wilson. He always talks about being a comprehensive man. So I love that concept. That means I'm all around. So as a father, I'm comprehensive. So I let my kids see my successes, but I also let them see my struggles. Absolutely. Which is scary.
It is scary, because I'm trying to tell you that was one of the things that I did as it being a young mother. But I remember nights that I was hungry, but they never knew. They were full. There was nights that I was scared, but they never knew I was scared.
Right.
They just knew that mom was in the house, the doors were locked. But there was many a nights I was scared. There was many a nights I went and cried myself to sleep because I wanted to make sure I wasn't sure I was doing this thing right.
Right.
I wasn't sure.
Well, you and I were talking about before we got on.
Yeah.
There's no playbook.
There is no playbook.
There's no playbook to parenting.
Playbook.
There's no set playbook to fatherhood, because I keep going back to subjective, because so many things, we see the world through the lens of what's been implanted in us, the environments we were in, sometimes biologically, things that have been put in us through a biological sense. And we see the world through that lens. So a lot of times you're learning as you go.
Yes.
So
I literally can tell you that at the age of 48 in just a few weeks, I'm at my best. But going through those motions of the tear down, the discard, the loneliness, the unhappiness, and then building myself back up. So my children went through that with me. So sometimes, I have to say, let me take it a little easy on it, because one of the things with my middle son, he and I sometimes we have that tumultuous relationship. But one of the things that he told me a couple of years ago, I grew with you. He grew up with me. So I made a lot of mistakes. But one of the things that I give him, and I give to my sons, and I give to even my adopted sons and the people that call me mom, if you're out here and you're doing it, I just pray that you do it better than I did it for you.
Right.
And then if you're out here and you're holding these grudges against your parents because, that way back when you did this to me way back. Well, you know what? It's time to end that cycle too, because that's abuse too. You're giving yourself a lot of emotional abuse. A lot of times I realize too, I'm over here worrying about what he thinking. We say he over there sleeping, having this stuff a good old time doing whatever. So I needed to forgive myself for what I did not do and what I could not establish with them. So now that he has his own children, I'm sitting back and I'm waiting, because guess what? There's going to be a day that you're not going to get it right. Yeah. Because there's many a days I didn't get it right.
And in reality, that's everybody.
And that's everybody. So now I just hope that I'm around long enough to see him make that milestone in for him to get reacclimated with the fact of, okay, now I see what my parents went through. Because it's not an easy task.
No, it's not. It is.
Any hood is not an easy task. Whether it be friend, whether it be father, whether it be grandmother, it's hard in every realm. Because I'm telling you, I'm a grandmother, and I can tell you right now, I'm not one of them grandmothers to be like, no, I'm not showing up every day because Mama Tay got something else she need to do. So in every realm, there's disappointment, but in every realm, there's victory too. It all depends on where you want to stand on the platform and claim it.
That's it. It's perspective. So when you're looking at fatherhood, like every father that wants to reconnect with their kids, I tell them, look, try to find a way to have that happen.
Absolutely.
Because, there's so many things that go on. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain.
You got to muscle through a lot of that.
Though. Sometimes it's, well, they've made it this far and they're doing well. I don't want to go in there and mess it up.
Right.
But
you already messed it up by staying where you are.
Yeah, because you never age out of fatherhood.
Absolutely. I was going to say, wow,
you never age out this thing. So
I tell my kids all the time, you can be mad at me all you want. That's fine. Those are your emotions. Those are your feelings. That's why God gave them to you, right? But one thing in life you cannot change. I'm your mother. You're my son. And there's nothing either one of us can do about it.
That's it.
So we're here. We're here. But I just try as a mother, I try to show up to be the best that I can.
Right.
And early on, I remember I used to try to be super mom. I want to be the best at this and best at that. Now I done got to the point where I just show up where I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to show, like you just said, sometimes you just have to show up where you can. Sometimes you have to just, if you and your kid are distant, but he's playing basketball, sometimes you just have to sit all the way in the back.
Show up at the game.
Sit all the way in the back.
You don't got to say, oh, that's my boy.
Yeah, but know that you're there.
Yeah, that's your boy anyway.
He's your boy.
That's my son. That's my daughter. I don't have to show up with bells and whistles and shooting off fireworks. No.
Some of the times I've showed up and my son didn't even know I was there. Because if you feel like you're out there and you're isolating that parent, sometimes, listen, the show up game isn't always meant to be seen, but I can show up in your dreams because I keep my kids covered in prayer. I keep my kids covered. And that's something, some of the time they walk in and oh, I don't know how that happened, because you had a praying mother.
Right.
You had a praying mother. Some of the times you think, oh man, how did that happen? How did that happen for me? Because you had a praying mother. Nothing supersedes a praying parent.
Nothing.
For a child.
That's it.
There's a lot of times my kids been out here and, they've been doing this and they doing that. And, we are in this genre now where our black males are being shot and killed and all that stuff. And then, Saquon was like, one day he was like, yeah, this cop stopped the car in front of me. I thought they were going to stop me. No, they wasn't going to stop you because I already covered you in prayer this morning. I already know what it's like to pray for mine. Yes. And even if you don't accept what I'm doing for you, I still cover you.
Right.
And that's another part of the thing that a lot of parents don't do. They don't cover their children in that aspect.
No. And sometimes they're like, well, that's not what I believe. But
that's fine.
But I tell you what.
I can tell you what works.
I'll tell you what. When we go into crisis, somebody always says, pray for us.
Pray.
Let's pray.
Let's pray.
Yeah. Pray for the nation. So it's like.
I don't play when it comes to mine.
Yeah, we always go to there. Yeah, and as a father who for me personally, I'm a Christian, so that's my belief system.
That's my belief system.
I don't let anybody leave my house without praying over them first. Usually, I'm out the door by 4:35 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I prayed over everybody in the house before I walked.
I remember when it was just me and my kids, and at night, I would go to their door, and when I felt like, I just didn't do such a good job that day, but I would just stand in the doorway and I'd pray over them and say, God, just show me and teach me the right way to do this thing, and that's just not a man or woman thing. But, it's great to have a man cover your house. It's great to have a man cover you in a lot of things. But sometimes you're not going to get that show up in that. So you need to be the best father you can be, the best man you can be. And like I need to be the best woman I can be and be the best mother I can be. But I also, men and women need to take another role, one more role. I got to make sure that I cover you.
Yeah.
If I want you to help me raise my kings, I got to make sure that I'm in line and doing the right things too. And I can tell you early on in my life, I ain't doing that. But now that I've gotten older, I know for a fact that I have to pray for my king, so that way my king can go out in these streets and my king can go out and be healthy and understand mentally where he needs to be.
Yeah.
We have to have that covering for each other.
We do. I'll say I'm so blessed in that aspect that I've never had to worry about it. My wife's a prayer warrior. Mm-hmm. So I never have to worry about if I'm.
But there's a lot of men that worry about that.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of men that worry about
that. And here's the thing. It is so vital. One of the biggest needs, because a lot of times men don't ask for what they need. Mm-hmm. So like as a father, what you need to know that sometimes you just need to know that what I'm doing is having impact. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you do need to know that.
Yes.
That
pat on the back, job well done.
Yeah, you just need to know that. And see, I'm working on a fatherhood report card, because I have my kids grade me sometimes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I have them grade. Great.
That's amazing.
What is dad doing well? Where is dad maybe missing it? What are you getting from dad that's impacting you the most? What are you not getting from dad that there might not be an awareness of? Because the first step of change is awareness.
Absolutely.
You have to become aware.
Absolutely.
Then you have to work towards that surrender and acceptance.
Absolutely.
You have to surrender to what you've become aware of, because you can know something and say, like, I'm not with
that. I always go back to, and of course, I have to throw that out there. I always go back to salvation. When you're walking through your realm of the ABCs of salvation, and now that you know about it, and now that you've made that commitment, right? Now you gotta live it.
Yeah, living it too requires surrender.
Surrender.
So, my pastor's been teaching on reconciliation all year, and now he's teaching on making Jesus Lord, because he can be Savior.
Oh yeah,
but he might not be Lord. And when somebody's Lord, you do what they tell you to do.
Absolutely.
You don't,
absolutely.
I hear you, but
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Lord says do this, and boom. All right, I'm gonna do it. And sometimes that it's I don't have to be excited about it to follow through with it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just,
it could be that unspoken word about it. Yeah. It's just that I just feel like that there are a lot of fathers out here that are doing a fantastic job.
They are.
And even the fathers that are falling short, they need to know that it is okay to fall short, but we can't stay short.
Right. Because
there's some people, like I can tell you right now, I'm visually seeing someone in my path right now who is out here. He's working, he's doing the best that he can, and he's trying to make ends meet. He's getting his kid every often as he can. One of the things he said, my kids are getting older, they're not calling me anymore. They're not with me anymore, but he's doing the best that he can. And I'll see where someone will jump on Facebook and say something like real demeaning about, the circumstance. But listen, just having a man make that phone call to him and say, hey, dude, listen, you want to come throw the baseball around with dad this weekend or whatever. We have to stop badgering those, even if they can't make that financial commitment to you. That mental commitment is a lifetime lasting.
But that's why we have to heal.
We do.
Because a lot of our behaviors.
And women need to stop it.
Yeah. But
you need to stop it.
But like I said, everybody needs to heal, because a lot of our behaviors tell us that we have some unhealed areas. We're bleeding on people. You know what I mean? We are bleeding on our kids.
Because how many kids are sitting at home listening to moms on the phones with dads, or they ain't this and they ain't that, and then the child's kind of thinking, well, wait a minute, I did think my dad was this, and I did think he was that. But whoever has the most time with the child can sow the most into them. And I had to be careful. I had to start watching my mouth and being careful around what I used to say when my ex-husband would say things that would trigger me. Or I would say things to trigger him.
Right.
But one thing that he had better than me, he had a great exit strategy. I wanted to finish what I was saying. I wanted to make sure he understood, and then I would look off at the far corner and I would see these two little faces. And then I'm wondering why later on they're like, yeah, daddy ain't that, Wow. Because I put that precedence there. We got to be careful. Yeah. We just got to be careful. We as adults, we need to find those outlets, those clear exit strategies when we're thinking. Not everything you think has to come out your mouth.
No, it doesn't. Because you have to think about, what's the damage that's going to
happen? And the effect that it's going to take. So even again, almost being 48 years old, now that I know better, I ain't going to say now that I'm grown, because I don't think anybody ever gets to the transpacs where they're grown, because we got so much knowledge. We got so much to learn. I just literally walked into another degree, and my son said that he clowned me a couple of days ago. Yeah, your boy, he clowned me a couple of days ago, because you know what he said? He said, take a look over there in my office, which is right there. He said, what do you see on the walls? And I said, nothing. He said, but I see hope and ambition. He said, but when I walk down into your office, he said, I get a little, choked up, because I see all what you have, and I want those things, but I just want to get them at my own pace.
Right. I want to run my own race.
I want to run my own race, and you know what? And that show aired about 2 weeks ago, and it's still weighing on me, because as I walk into my office now, and I just added another degree to the wall, I didn't realize the impact.
Yeah.
I just thought I was out here being a great mom. I'm being a great role model. I'm showing him what hard work looks like. I'm showing him what dedication looks like. I mean, literally in 4 years, I've gotten 2 degrees in 4 years, and I'm like, adding always from associates to 2 of this and 2 of that, now 2 of this and 2 of that. I thought I was just being like the greatest role model. And literally he told me he's 6 foot something or other, 300 plus pounds. When he walks into my office, it was belittling to him. Can you believe that? It was belittling to him. That small area. So yeah, that's just the mental health piece that we have to, as parents, we have to make sure that we're not belittling in any factor, because as you see, he's a grown man, and it's still that belittling factor.
Well, every grown man and every grown woman has that little boy and little girl in them.
Still inside of them.
You know what I
mean?
Man,
let me tell you, we could go on and on and on and on and on and on. Again, Cliff Bright Jr. Let me put the junior on there, because I don't want y'all looking for his dad.
Yeah.
I don't want them looking for your dad. I want them looking for you.
My dad is on Facebook.
So drop your information for us one more time, so that way they can look for you. And he's also here at the Business Suites of Brass Mill.
Right.
But I want you to give a little bit more of your information.
You can, if you want to check me out on social media, I'm on Instagram at Clifton, CLIFTON _ Bright, BRIGHT _ LCPC. I'm also on Facebook at Clifton Bright Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're inquiring about services, or if you're interested in getting more information about that men's group, you can email me at cliftonbrightjr@gmail.com.
We are going to be dropping all of his links, all his information. And if you're looking for him and you didn't have any pen or any paper or whatever, you can go back on this broadcast, and you can also let us know. We have our podcast manager who can also put up that information. He'll get back to you. And if you're still out and about, 1200 Brass Mill, he's here the majority of the time. So he's available. It's a great connection. We had a great connection from day one.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I'm so happy that you're one of my only quality people. And then besides, I get some free therapy work because I need it. I think we all need it.
We all do. I tell people all the time, I see a therapist.
Yeah, and I like to run across the hall and pick his brain. Yeah. I'm like, I got a question. He's like, is this a question about you or about something? I just have a question. He's like, okay, well, I gotta look because I know how we are. Mm-hmm. But I just want to thank you for just allowing just your presence, because it is Father's Day, and I think we can start right here with making a change. Just saying, hey, look, your mental health is important.
It is. Look, in finishing, if you're a man out there, a lot of men will tell you, I've been thinking about going to therapy for a long time, but just you hesitated. Mm-hmm. Therapy. Oftentimes we think we have these stigmas like, oh, only crazy people go see a therapist. Nah, you can see a therapist for anything. Adjustment, life changes, moving to a new city, feeling like something's bothering me and won't let me get over the hump, but I don't know what it is. Just exploring yourself, because it's really about having that safe space where you won't get judged.
Absolutely.
And you can you can start taking those masks off, because you don't have to worry about, what if I take this mask off and show this person the real me? Are they going to reject me? Are they going to walk away from me? Are they going to cut connection?
Yes.
As therapists, we're non-judgmental. So we're not looking for any of that anyway. So you can come in. I tell people, show up as you are. However you talk anywhere else, come in here and talk like that. Whatever you want to say, nothing's dumb.
Yeah,
you know?
That's
and it's really about creating that connection and making those safe spaces. And for every father, happy Father's Day again.
Yes.
And tell yourself you're doing a great job.
You're doing a great job. Let me tell you, to end this segment, he is one of the reasons why I just joined, actually was just honored with the National Association Accreditation of Christian Counselors. I actually am board certified. And this gentleman right here kind of swayed me into that avenue, because I saw the great work he was doing and I wanted to add and contribute. So with that being said, not only is he in that realm of walk, but he's also in the Christian realm of walk as well. So with those wonderful aspects, you can't go wrong.
Nah, you can't.
And we thank you so much for your time tonight.
All right.
Go enjoy your Father's Day. Make
it.
sure you have a great time. Check on your friends, check on your dogs, check on your cats, because it's okay not to be okay. But we tonight are giving you an avenue. We're giving you the first shoe in. So if you need it, use it. If you don't need it, give it to someone else who does. Again, happy Father's Day.